Now, I did forget to mention that we're working today with the Tarot of the Greenwood, and I can't remember who did it. I keep meaning to grab the book in between recordings, and then I forget. So I'll try to get that out so people know what I'm looking at, or what we are looking at together. This card is on the bottom of the deck. And I kind of look at those as sort of a one-card summary of what's going on in the deck. But you'll see here we have the Four of Arrows, which indicates rest, right? Rest, meditation, for vision and for transformation, right? This really has to do with going within and taking that time out, right? Arrows is an intellectual suit. That's the suit of air. And part of that means we need to kind of slow down so that we can let our thoughts stop racing, calm down, and then, and usually only then, that's when we get the insight that really comes in. When we're in a froth, we don't tend to get our best thoughts coming in because we're blocking them with so much hyperactivity of our mind. Super activity, I guess, but we have too much going on in our thoughts. So sometimes we do need to be sure to take that time to rest and to meditate, have some self-care time in order to get right so that we know what our best options are. Now, covering you, we have Five of Wands, which is power. Sometimes this can indicate the petty squabbles that come about in our day. We have to be really mindful too, but to choose our battles. Or we will find ourselves at unrest with a lot of different people. Just from the rest of the cards, as an overview, it doesn't look like this is anything that's really a big deal, but there may be some kind of power struggle that's going on for you. So you may want to be extra careful that you're choosing your battles and not allowing other people's insecurity or ego trip to unsettle you, I guess, in this time. Now, crossing you is the Six of Wands, which is the Harvest card. This has to do with reaping what you sow. This has to do with basically abundance coming in, right? For some of you, we've had that in the past with pregnancy and giving birth and things like that. That can be symbolic for people. It can be literal. Harvest, that's this time of year right now, right? We're in the prime of harvest. We're in the Virgo season, September 1st to 15th. So, we do have a lot of abundance coming in. I'm here in Michigan, and in Michigan, of course, it's a wonderful time of year for everything. So, everything from berries to corn to tomatoes to, and then we're going to have the gourds coming up. It's a wonderful time of year to be in Michigan. And this idea of things coming in that you've set forth before. This has to do with... this can even for some people be like a scholar type situation. Say if you've been studying for something, and you're sort of wrapping it up. Pardon me. Excuse me. But harvest is, things are coming your way. Things that you've set forward into motion are coming your way. So if you have put out a job application, that's coming in for you, right? If you've been doing the work on the dating website, that could be coming in for you, where you're getting options and offers and things like that. So you have not been sitting idle, as things have not, you've been making things happen, basically. I'll move on to another card. I'm babbling. Speaking of needing to get clear in your thoughts, I apologize. What's crowning you? What may come to pass? What's on your mind? Future focus. Green Woman. Green Woman is comparable to Empress in other decks. She's fertility embodied, right? She's floral. She's flowering. She's fabulous, right? We've got the Sheila Nagig here. That has to do with symbolic birth, death, right? Rebirth, life. This is the divine feminine, right? The goddess archetype right here. Green Woman really is about being able to manifest. This has to do with our sense of harvest. Harvest is, in a sense, although wands is fire and fire is a male element, at the same time, harvest and the fruits, that's very, very feminine. She's the fruit, she's the embodiment of the fruit-bearing harvest goddess, really. And we see all of this in her and in her energies here, right? This has to do with you putting forth something, you bringing something forth, manifesting, fruits. You've done the work, and you're bringing forth and bearing your fruits, whatever capacity. The Fool has to do with new starts. This is something that you have, or that's an influence that's coming into play very soon. But you'll notice that she's let go of her burden, and I say she, could be a he, I don't know. But this person's let go of his or her burdens. They're taking that leap of faith, even though they're at the cliff, right? They're following the white hart into the new adventure. A hart, H-A-R-T, is a deer. But we see also, again, with the butterfly symbology, right? We saw that in the rest card here. And know that it may be a literal movement or travel, but it could also be a mental or philosophical traveling experience too. Adventure or journey. But this is you beginning a brand new path. The Fool card is the 0 card in the major arcana part of the deck. And the Fool has to do with that, sometimes we have to take that blind leap of faith. We know what we want. You have all this abundance coming in. Now's a good time for you to take these risks and try these new things, right? Now, behind you, we have skill. And for some of you that are completing school or that cycle, that's kind of what I had mentioned before, whereas this might be, if you've studied and you've taken the classes and so on, you're getting forward, or you're getting forth in your life to be able to get that certificate or diploma or degree or license or whatever certification that you need in your field. I should put this way, because it actually moves right to left in this layout. But you've put forward through your skill and your hard work, and now you're about to reap the harvest of that. Stones is the suit of the earth. So it's anything material that you've done. When you actually have to sit down and balance your book or balance your ledger, or when you have to study and write papers and do the daily grind, or clean your house, or whatever that is, prepare in some way. And this is about manifesting that which you've been preparing. Wands also, this is the fire suit though. It's things that we have passion for, right? But it's also about taking our passion and manifesting in an earthly way. So these two kind of go hand in glove, really. Now, before you is struggle, right? Struggle. But 8 of Arrows as a caution, that can be more about an intellectual struggle than anything that's going on specifically. However, we did have this other card before. So again, as we're moving right to left, we're seeing this is the current energy and this is what's coming to play. In spite of all this abundance, all this fecundity, right? All this verdant green that's going on around you, all this skill, all this hard work and these new beginnings and all the rest of it that you're hoping to manifest, these petty squabbles may get you down. This card can represent anxiety for a lot of people. Intellectual anxiety, mental thoughts, negative thoughts. This has to do, though, with the prison of our own creation. It's not that somebody else is doing something to us. It has more to do with our thoughts being destructive for us. Now, I don't know what this black spot is here. I tend to think of it as a hole like Bugs Bunny used to dive into. And I think to myself, is he walking towards that because he's going to seek shelter in that rabbit hole? And Bugs Bunny used to have a pretty nice setup in his hole, but the idea is, where's this going? Is this person going to do what with that? Be careful you don't let whatever these environmental struggles are for you, these power struggles, become your personal struggle. Choose your battles. But if you do struggle with anxiety, that's a real medical condition, can be. For a lot of people. So be sure that you're taking that seriously and seeking medical advice, therapy, whatever you need to do to help you through that. As you clarify your goals and determine what that is that you need in your life. Now, the card representing you is the balance card. This is a balance between polar opposites, yin and yang. This card has to do with being able to bring forth new things. This has to do with finding a balanced partnership. So if you're married, this can be about finding harmony and good balance in that relationship. These external struggles here may have to do with other types of power struggles, maybe not in your immediate family, but the surrounding, like the in-laws or your job environment, your business, that sort of thing. But overall, there's really, really good stuff in here, really, really positive for you. Right? There's also a sense of guidance. This is your environment here. This is about navigating through the use of the North Star or Southern Cross, depending which part of the hemisphere which hemisphere you're in, southern or northern or southern. And this here has to do with being able to find your own way in that, right? Be careful that you're taking that time to find your balance, right? When we look at this rest card, this is part of it, taking that time for self, as well as the time that you spend with and around other people, because it can be exhausting if you're not finding that balance. This is about being guided towards wonderful things in your future. But there will be some level of struggle here. How difficult the struggle is has to do with your approach to it, whether you seek help with that, are you willing to just kind of let things go? But be careful that you are implementing some kind of balance in your life. You really do have this forward movement, and this Fool card has to do with this pole star as well. This Fool is basically following the pole star into the future. They're being guided. They're being helped and supported by elements like angels and spirits and God, divine hand, fate, the universe, however you want to call it, right? So there is that energy of divine support at play here. Be careful that you're doing your part to find your balance and that you're not psyching yourself out into this negativity, because I really don't feel like it's necessary for you. Look at the color in here. This is you, and this is the future. So whatever's going to strip you of your Technicolor, I would be very, very mindful about surrendering your power to this kind of negativity and nonsense. And remember that this Harvest card can also be some kind of a warning. If we get stuck in the power trip, we are going to reap what we sow, and therefore we shall have struggle. It's just the way that that's going to go. It's that cause and effect. It's a karmic lesson sometimes that we have to learn. But when we can let go, when we can put down our baggage, put down our burdens, and just move forward, understanding that we have everything we need to make this happen already. We have the divine support in the guidance of this pole star here. We also have the wings that we need to be able to fly, right? Please don't literally leap off a building, right? Okay, do I have to say that? I don't know who's watching. Okay, who can say? Now, hopes and fears. We have the healing card here. The healing card, right? This reminds me of this rest card. So for some of you, it may be that you do have some medical issues that need addressing, or that you fear that a medical situation may be difficult, or that you fear something pertaining to that. One thing I didn't mention before, but that I noticed on here is that here we see a caduceus, and I'm probably saying that incorrectly. But what I mean by that is that snake that's wrapped around a pole that's the symbol of medicine. And this is a person laying here, and here's another person here, and there's a great big heart right there. So for some of you, it may be that you're healing emotionally from some emotional pain. For some of you, maybe it's an actual heart issue or some other kind of a medical condition that you're suffering from. Know that it's going to take courage to get through that. And we may not have answers today as far as what that's going to look like for you, right? But whatever that is, your final outcome card here is strength. And this strength here is a healer. He's got a bowl, right? He's got a cup right here that's some kind of medicine. So I really feel like there's treatment if you are suffering from a medical situation, that there is some kind of treatment that will be had. And you certainly have a transformation that happens in here to a more beautiful self. Sometimes people can experience during the throes of a medical condition, that's when they really tap into their intuition, and when they really start learning how to meditate and learning how to do things like astral projection or shamanic dreaming, lucid dreaming, as you would call it. And here we also see that there's work doing. I mean, these look like Reiki symbols to me, at least in part. But it may be that you seek alternative healing as well, traditional types of healing, such as Reiki or acupuncture, acupressure, alternative medicine, herbal remedies, and the like, poultices and tinctures and so forth. But it does look like you are going to be seeking treatment, those of you that may be having medical But a lot of these other cards, again, they're very, very strong. You're being guided the whole way. And even this balance card that represents you, if we look at it, a lot of your issues may be, if not brought on by a lack of balance, it could be being exacerbated by a lack of balance. And so be sure that you are coming into alignment. And note that this also is the sacred caduceus symbol of medicine and healing that we see on some of these other cards. I've lost the thread of where these other cards are. But yeah, we see this right here, right on the staff. We've got the snakes. So understand too, a lot of what you do to create yourself into your own balance and your sense of balance will promote your healing on a medical level. When we get our energy right, our body can repair that much better and quicker. And that's a reality that we all face here as humans on a mortal plane. But with that, I really do hope any of you who may be suffering from some kind of medical issue or concern, I really do wish you all the best. And, I hope that you certainly are seeking some kind of medical advice and so forth. Whoops. Okay. Now, what I will do is shuffle an angel tarot card over here. And I'm sorry I can't say about the outcome per se. I do think that there will be a great deal of strength that you develop in that, and a great deal of insight and awareness as well. I'm not really getting a sense of something fatal, but that's probably out of my scope. I don't know that that would be revealed to me if that were the case. And also, given that our outcome cards are struggle and strength, this may be that you are fighting an anxiety disorder over your medical, but having anxiety when you're having a medical problem is not going to help you either. But just know that the final outcome of that is beyond the scope of this reading. This is a 15-day reading, and whatever that is, for those of you that are going through a medical issue, it's not something that's going to be covered in the span of this. So with that, I do apologize that I'm not able to be more clear on that. But I'm not seeing anything. None of these cards are really scary, but there certainly is a reflective, meditative, spiritual component of ourself that plays a huge role in our medical outcomes. If we are able to check our worries and fears to the extent that we can. It's understandable when people have anxiety about medical. But just be careful, because having worry can actually trip a cycle. You worry about not being well, and then that actually feeds into having more symptoms and the like. We did have a jumper, and it's the 9 of air, and that's exactly what I was just talking on. Thank you so much, angels, for helping us pick this card. This is a perfect card for this situation, right? Okay, so 9 of air. I'm trying to get the glare off the card. It says on the card, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, and sleepless nights. Positive thinking is essential right now. Your own obsessive, negative thoughts are the true culprits behind the trouble you fear. Release your guilt and realize that regret is a wasted emotion. Turn your attention to the amazing possibilities for the future and leave the past behind. If you are having unpleasant dreams at this time, write them in a journal, bless them for their desire to inform you, and then send them to the angels. If depression is an issue, encourage those affected to seek professional counseling. Additional meanings of this card are sleeplessness, racing thoughts, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, worry, and stress-related illness. So just along the lines with what we were talking about just now is this idea that we can put ourselves in a mental prison. And note, these are the same suits even. But 9 and 8 have to do with how you're thinking and what you're thinking. The 10 of air has to do with what other people are doing to us. This is what we are doing to ourselves. So just as the angels advised in this angel tarot card that fell out, I mean, it was a jumper here. that was telling us about the power of the mind in our healing. So be careful not to attract more negativity through negative thinking. If you need help with that, again, seek professional help and so forth. My website is still not up and running yet, or I would encourage you, to come on board and see what we could do about that. I do hope that by October I'll have my website up, and then people can start having private readings with me and so on. But definitely be sure that your approach includes your mind and your orientation towards whatever stress or issue that you're going through, because we can create this cycle ourselves through our mind and how we think about the things that we're going through.